we are ready to begin a new week, a new chapter in our heritage study. So let's go ahead and get it out. And I'll try not to make this too very long, but I know our heritage studies lessons tend to be a little longer sometimes, so I'll try not to talk too much more than what I have to. All right, so let's look on page 82 and 83. This is the beginning of chapter 4. So the title of this chapter is Busy Cities. Something that you might see right here. This is circa. You see this little C right there? That stands for the word circa, which means around. So this picture would have been taken somewhere around 1900, okay, on Mulberry Street. I don't know where that's at. New York, maybe. I don't really know. Some busy street. Can you read the focus of this chapter? It's written in red there beside that man shoveling coal. All right, opportunities and challenges. Now I'm going to read the introduction to the chapter. The late 1800s was a time of opportunity and challenges. Businesses produced more goods in less time, and colleges taught men to be good businessmen. The railroad became the most important big business. Many businessmen became wealthy. Andrew Carnegie became the most important steel manufacturer in America. John D. Rockefeller was the most important oil man in the country. Although workers were better off in some ways than before, there were injustices in the workplace. Labor unions brought about some changes to help workers, but the unions sometimes became too powerful and acted unjustly toward businesses. Immigrant workers composed over half of the population in America's largest cities. Electric streetcars and subways changed travel in cities. Taller buildings were built. Crime and sinfulness grew as cities grew. Cities were needed to set building standards, treat sewage, and keep water clean. Herbert Spencer applied social Darwinism to business and society. Christians countered liberalism and the social gospel by preaching God's word, creating places where people could go to avoid the temptations of the city, and feeding the hungry in soup kitchens. Christians developed retreat centers that included Bible studies and sermons. Christians helped people by meeting challenges in many ways, but they knew that the greatest need of man was salvation from sin. All right, so we're going to talk about how the nation grew. Now remember, last chapter we talked about rebuilding the nation after the Civil War. It was a mess, especially down south. It was a mess. So they had to clean that all up and get that all squared away. The chapter before that, chapter 2, we're talking about the war between the states where we were fighting with each other. So now we're moving up probably 40 to 50 years after that war. Some of the people, a lot of the people probably that fought in the war were still alive. Some were not, of course. They were old and had died. A lot of the children from that time were now grown-ups. So, okay, so let's go ahead and look at the timeline on the top of page 83. See that timeline? What happened in 1870? Telegraph lines stretched from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Things really changed. When was the first subway built in the United States? 1897. And what happened 9 years after Andrew Carnegie opened a steel plant? 9 years later, the first skyscraper was built. All right, so you see the pictures there on page 82 and 83. They're looks like railroad workers, and they're digging the coal, putting it in the big fire right there. All right, let's go ahead and read where it says, a growing nation business gets bigger. The Civil War taught Americans how to think big. During the war, Americans learned how to move thousands of men around the country. They learned how to feed and clothe these men. They learned how to give them the tools they needed to fight. They learned how to raise the money needed to keep everything going. Soldiers learned how to take orders and work together in large groups. Before the war, Americans worked on farms or in their own shops. Some worked in factories, which were only in the Northeast. But after the war, businesses grew. More Americans worked for them instead. Some businesses spread across the entire nation. This growth caused new challenges. Employers needed to make sure that all the workers got paid. Supplies needed to reach the right place. Businesses met these challenges by learning lessons from how things were managed during the Civil War. All right, let's turn the page and look at page 84 and 85. So let's just look at the pictures first. So at the bottom of page 84, that is a postcard. Let's see, it says it's a postcard of a leading steel producer in the United States. So look at that city. Now think back to the cities during the Civil War, the pictures that we've seen. See how different they were? Look at the pictures there on page 85. At the top, you got a smarty pants up there. It says before. Then it says after. And then there's college. And then afterwards, you got another smarty pants. And he's got a briefcase. And he's in a suit. And all that. Here's a guy on the screen. This guy's in a suit right here. Most of them are dressed kind of poor, don't you think? Let's see. He's not. He's in a little suit maybe. And maybe this guy right here. Most of them are dressed kind of poor, though, aren't they? All right. So let us, I want you to, I'm going to have you read yourself today. You're going to read page 84 and 85 to yourself. You're going to pause this and you're going to read page 84 and 85. Now, I want to make sure that you do read it, okay? Sometimes I read to you, but oftentimes I want you to read yourself. So I want you to read this, but as you're reading, I want you to find out what people invented that saved business time and money. What was something that people invented that saved all these businesses time and money? Okay, so I want you to go ahead and pause as you read these pages. All right, so did you find out then what people invented that saved businesses time and money? Machines. Machines did that. Now, industry, the word industry it's the making of things or providing of services for the purpose of making money. That's what industry is. Now, so can you think of some industries that we have today or even back in those days? What is an industry that we have? We have several industries. I'll give you some ideas. Here's one. This would be the clothing industry. She's making clothes. She's making clothes. They're all making clothes. See all these clothes that people, it's called the clothing industry. Look at all these people making clothes. The clothes that you have on may have come from a place like this. So this is the clothing industry. Remember, industry is the making of goods or the giving of services in order to make money. So that's what an industry is. Here's another industry right here. The food industry. That's probably my favorite. So all these people here are making food to be sold. Look at these long lines of, I don't know if that's maybe pancakes or something. I'm not sure what that is. All these people in here making food. So the food industry is yet another industry. What about the automobile industry? That's a huge industry, isn't it? People that they have factories that build these cars and trucks and automobiles and putting them all together. That is quite a fruitful industry right there, isn't it? All right, so let me ask you just a couple of questions to make sure that you did read and that you did understand. So what new challenges did businesses face after the war? This was from page 84. What were some new things, new challenges these businesses faced? They needed to make sure that the workers got paid, all those supplies would reach the right place. So how did these businesses meet these challenges? What did they do? They thought back and they remembered back and they looked back from the lessons that they learned during the Civil War. That was one of those things. Now, what were some new ways that helped big businesses become successful? They invented machines that took the place of people, and they would do a job over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and they would do it more quickly. How did these methods affect the sales of goods? They could sell these items at lower prices, couldn't they? That's right. All right, look at page 85. So what changed as a result of the changes in business? School changed. What did businesses want schools to train men to do? To work in their business, to learn how to do something. So before all of this took place, when someone went to college, you see up at the very top of page 85, you see that before picture. So before people went to college, they learned history, literature, foreign languages, and ancient languages and stuff like that, because it would prepare them to be good leaders in their communities, that they wouldn't repeat what happened in history. But now what were colleges going to do? They weren't going to teach the past. They were going to teach basically the future. They were going to teach these men how to run these machines and how to do things better, how to do inventions and how to do all of those things. So do you think that that's a good change? I kind of think it is. So let's look at this footage right here. It's a 10-minute long video. We're not going to watch it. I'm just going to show a couple of minutes of it. Let's watch this. So this was a video of an assembly line, but now this was 1936, so this was a little bit, this is not really so much in the time period that we're talking about. However, it kind of shows you how an assembly line works. And that's what they started to do later on, is they would start doing assembly lines where one person would do this, one person would do this, and they just pass it down. Then they started inventing machines that would do those things. And we still have assembly lines today that do different things and help us with industry. Okay, so let's get our work text page out. It's going to be page 37 in your work text. All right. If you'll look at the very top on the right-hand side, there's a picture. That's an oil well. It was drilled in 1859. That's pretty neat, isn't it? So God gave people dominion over the earth. It tells us that in Genesis chapter 1. Long ago, people used whale oil. Native Americans used oil as medicine. Others used the oil in lamps. Then a new source of oil was discovered. In 1859, Edwin Drake was given the job to find a way to get oil out of the ground. He used a steam engine to power a drill that could go through the layers of gravel and rock. He then developed a way to pump the oil out of the ground. The well was 69.5 feet deep. Drake's well caused an oil boom in the United States. It was the first commercial oil well in America. It was located in Titusville, Pennsylvania. In 1966, the Drake well became a National Historic Landmark. Wouldn't that be neat to go see that? I wonder if we can find that on here. It's called Drake's Oil Well, right there. Let's see if we can look at some pictures of that. That's pretty cool, isn't it? from 1859. Oh, wow. Isn't that cool? Wow. That's pretty cool, isn't it? That's an old picture of it right there. There's you some old guys right there in the front. Those are old pictures, aren't they? Wow, that's pretty neat. I'd love to go see that. All right, let's work on our page here. It says to fill in the blanks with the answers to the clues. The shaded letters will spell another word for oil. Number 1, God gave the blank dominion over the earth. What did he give dominion over the earth? People. He gave people dominion over the earth. Okay. Now all of these are going to come from this paragraph up here. So you're going to write the word people in there. Okay. Number 2. People used blank oil to burn in lamps for blank. People used, what's that first one? Well. W-H-A-L-E. They used well oil to burn in lamps for, what they use that for? For light. Used it for light. All this tells us right up here in the very top of what I just read. Okay. Number 3. Native blank used oil as medicine. Americans goes in that blank. Number 4. Now if I'm going too fast, you can pause it. Number 4, Drake used a steam engine to blank a drill that could go through the layers of gravel and rock. Power is the word there. He used a steam engine to power a drill. Okay. Number 5, Drake's blank caused an oil boom in the United States. Well, W-E-L-L. Okay. Number 6, the Drake well was the first blank oil well in America. Commercial. It was the first commercial one. C-O-M-M-E-R-C-I-A-L. Commercial. Number 7, the Drake well is located in blank, Pennsylvania. What was the name of that place? It's right here on the screen. Titusville. Titusville, Pennsylvania. And number 8, in 1966, the Drake well became a National Historic Lake. Landmark. That's the last one. It became a landmark. Good job. Now, do you think you can take all of those letters that are in the highlighted boxes and put them in order down at the very bottom, and it should spell a word that is another word for oil? Did you get petroleum? You should have gotten petroleum. Good job. Okay. All right. Well, that will be all for today, and you don't have anything to turn in.